Good morning, everyone. Jim Laird here. The fall in Florida here does not disappoint. It is pretty amazing. So today we're actually going to be talking about zinc and its role in the immune system. Before we get to that, I actually did yesterday I talked about skinny guys and putting on muscle in episode 1, and I didn't really complete the question as much as I'd like. So I went back and did an additional live last night, just to kind of actually answer the question, because I had a lot of great questions in the first live I did yesterday that kind of got me off track a little bit, but always happy to answer questions when people ask them. So we have a couple things going on. We've got our blood pressure webinar that's coming up here soon. There's a link in there that's going to be on StreamYard. It's not, so we're going to be doing that. And then, of course, you can check out all of our coaching programs in the links below. Also, we're doing a HRT webinar that's a part of like a hormone replacement webinar for men that are in our testosterone program. The course, we're building that course out, and we're every week, every Thursday, we are doing courses that are in our courses, or modules, I guess you might say, and you cannot access those. Those will not be live streamed. You can only access those on StreamYard. They won't be broadcast. They'll be in the course later, but we're actually allowing you to be rewarded for being on our email list. We're allowing you to have access to those. So tomorrow night, there'll be an email going out with the link to sign into that webinar, which I believe is at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So there you go. While we're waiting for Dr. Stillman to come on, Dr. Stillman and I have talked exclusively about, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
The immune system, how sunlight, how all these things affect the immune system, stress, the things that you're exposed to, all these things. But, we're coming up on, we're in fall here. I was just telling you how amazing the weather is here right now.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
It's amazing. And of course, everything, when people get sick, they start taking zinc. And so I thought we would talk today about zinc and its role in immune function, and when it's appropriate to take it, when it's not, that sort of thing, what the mistakes people make with zinc. But so, doctor, take it away. How does zinc affect our immune system?
So number one, I wrote a bunch of blog posts about this over at stillmanmd.substack.com. Posts that are worth reading on this would be vital nutrients for cold and flu season. That's a free post where I go over all the different nutrients that I keep around the house and that I think about using when it comes to a cold or a flu, and that really need to be optimized before cold and flu season in terms of intake and overall consumption. I dropped a post called How to Survive Cold and Flu Season, which has more insights. I believe that one's free. And then Optimizing Your Labs for an Uneventful Cold and Flu Season, which is where I think this one's behind the paywall. But I could be wrong. Some of it might be outside the paywall. And I think why did I put that one behind the paywall? What am I thinking? No, that one's free too. So yeah, those are 3 free posts that people can go review to get more detail, because the reality is I can't possibly cover this in 20 minutes.
Right, of course.
The 50,000 foot view and the real bad thinking that I want to disabuse people of today is thinking that because you don't have any active symptoms and because you are eating a healthy diet and living a healthy lifestyle and whatever, you are optimally fortified against, illness and sickness and death this winter. That is very silly. It's silly because when you get people's labs who say that they're doing all those things, you find the mistakes that they're making and you find the holes in their plan. And when you have time to coach them and you talk to them about all these different things and you talk to them about their lifestyle, you find all the things that they're actually not doing or are doing wrong that are setting them up for failure. And this is one reason why we created a really wide range of plans that people can work with us through. We have the fundamentals of wellness, 99 a month. You get 2 coaching calls, soon to be more. We're adding more to that. We have the annual plans, the practice that started 2,500. And I created all of those so that I could optimize people's health coming into cold and flu season.
That's a year, by the way.
Yeah, that's a year long.
That's not 2,500 a month.
No,
that would be nice.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. But the thing about zinc that I think people don't understand is that, like, first of all, many people have no concept of how much zinc they're actually consuming on a daily basis in their diet. And so then they start taking it, and they may actually end up with a massive imbalance in their zinc-copper ratio, let alone things like manganese. So that's where people really make mistakes with zinc. The other thing about zinc is that in the HTMA world, which I do a lot of work in now, zinc is a sodium antagonist. So it will drop the sodium ratio or sodium potassium ratio in the hair, as well as the other sodium based ratios. And that can actually create some problems for people. So using high dose zinc can create some problems. Not getting enough zinc creates more problems. Most people do need a certain amount of supplemental zinc because they're not eating the right foods, because they're under an undue amount of stress in our modern life, and because they are chronically deficient due to deficient soils and deficient food supply. So that's where zinc supplementation becomes helpful and reasonable. I'll even in someone who, for example, doesn't want, or in some cases can't afford labs, say, look, take a supplement, a multivitamin, multi-mineral combo, because you at least will have the benefit of some zinc coming in to fortify your diet if you can't do lab testing. And the one I like is right now it's from Perk Health, PERQUE, and that should be in my online full script, which people can find if they look up my blog post, what I keep in my medicine cabinet and why. And I'm very picky about my multivitamin, multi-minerals, because if you look at these formulations, you're going to find that they have a wide range of different ratios of minerals in them. And people don't all do well with the same ratios. And, things like copper, zinc, manganese, iron, they all compete with one another, and they also control one another. So if you're throwing these things into the system without any understanding of your context, you can really create problems. I despise most of the multivitamins and multiminerals out there on the market. I think most of them are garbage. And a big reason why is that they're formulated by people who fundamentally do not understand minerals and how they're used in the body and how to harness their power to help people be healthy and well.
Well, and I think people forget too, these things usually come in food that has multiple ingredients that kind of synergize things, right? When you start isolating things and you start throwing, 70 different things into a capsule,
right?
They don't really know how those things are all going to react. You might be missing certain things that are important to get those things rolling, right?
Right. And this is one thing that I constantly explain to people in our coaching calls, right? How can you get more minerals in your diet so you're not so dependent on your supplements?
Right.
Foods like molasses, foods like oats, nuts and seeds. If there's one food that going into cold and flu season that I see people not getting enough of, it's nuts and seeds. And we saw this the other day. We saw someone who's very concerned with their nitric oxide. They're taking nitric oxide supplements. You look at their plasma arginine level, which is the precursor to nitric oxide, and it's low, right? What do nuts and seeds also have an abundance of? Copper and zinc, as well as other trace elements, things like manganese.
And they're so tasty.
They're so good. Now that becomes part of the problem, right? We do have people where, I tell them to eat nuts and seeds, and they buy the salt and vinegar pistachios, right?
Even raw sunflower seeds, man. Even if they're raw, just like I could just eat the whole 2-pound bag in one sitting.
I get it.
Brazil nuts too, just like snacky snack, and even the unsalted ones.
Believe me, I know how it is. So if that's you, then you know,
Hide them.
I don't know. I don't know what I would do if I was.
Lock them away.
I mean, I don't know what I would do or exactly what I would counsel somebody, but you've got to find a way to get nuts and seeds into your diet where you're also not eating the entire bag. Because man, they are packed with calories. Packed with calories. So
they are.
So yeah, zinc. This is one reason why Jim and I are big fans of red meat. Red meat is the lion's share, pun intended, of zinc coming into your diet. And that's another reason why I like the lean red meats. You're not going to get a lot of trace element content from fat. You're going to get a lot of trace element content from the skeletal muscle meat. It's another reason why I'm wary of liver. So if you look at liver and the mineral content of liver, it's loaded with copper. It's also loaded with B vitamins, which means it's a great food for somebody who needs those elements. But man, will it ruin your day if you are not ready for that load of copper and that load of methylation equivalents. And the vast majority of health and wellness influencers out there recommending beef liver empirically do not take care of enough patients to see how this becomes a problem. They're just out there selling the supplement line, recommending the product, trying to get you to buy it and take it forever. And that really bothers me. So I tend to stay away from beef liver unless I know the patient and I know the case. And that's one of the reasons why. What else? Skeletal muscle meat, very rich in zinc, very rich in B vitamins. That's the foundation, really, of the protein intake for most of the people who I'm taking care of, with some exceptions. I mean, there's probably 10 to 15 to 20% of protein intake for most people I'm working with. I recommend that they get from bone broth because I want them to be getting the glycine. I want them to be getting the collagen precursors like proline. It's very easy to digest. It's very easy to assimilate. People really need that right now. By the way, this in combination with cysteine from red meats or skeletal muscle meats, I should say, because it's not just red meat, plus things like whey protein from cow's milk or goat's milk, really helps fuel glutathione production. I wrote about that in How to Boost Your Glutathione, which is another Substack post. That one came out, I think, last month. So all of that helps your body to detoxify all the toxic stuff that we are being, marinated in by the psychopaths and narcissists who run the world currently. And I'll leave that at that. So red meat, bone broth, fish and shellfish, chosen carefully, wild caught. You want to be getting your shellfish from protected estuaries, places where there's not going to be a huge toxin accumulation. I recently thought more about that, and I wonder what the toxic burden of oysters from places like the Mississippi River Delta are. I've never had the opportunity to look into that, but it's something that I think about now. And so shellfish and fish chosen, like I said, carefully. My favorites are sockeye salmon. You can't all eat sockeye salmon. We would run out. But cod, pollock, haddock, halibut, any of the white flaky fish from cold northern waters, excellent sources of protein. And
Sardines.
Sardines, amazing. Although they're very fatty. And so you actually don't get that much protein. You got to eat like 2 cans of sardines, and that's tough in order to get 30 grams of protein, I think.
It's not that tough. It's pretty easy.
Whatever. You're bigger than me.
You mix it in with some rice with a little coconut aminos from my favorite woke.
Now you're talking. Now you know what else you add to that? You add to that some toasted sesame oil.
Yeah, well, I'll put the sardines in with some greens too, the little balsamic vinegar based dressing, what do you call that? And then some sunflower seeds in there.
Yeah, it's good. It's real good.
Just mix it up. I'd like putting in everything. I've actually put it in omelets before. That didn't really work out so well, but
I wouldn't do that.
I still ate it.
I bet you did. All right. Yeah. One thing I will say about fish, though, and shellfish is, well, actually, that's okay. So oysters are the king of the hill for zinc. I think every oyster is like something like 10 maybe even 15 milligrams of zinc. It's insane how much zinc there is in oysters. Other shellfish, not so high in zinc. Fish and shellfish in general, except for oysters, obviously, actually tend to be a little bit higher in copper than zinc. And that's why straying away from the red meat can land people into problems. They drop that zinc intake, all of a sudden, they don't have enough zinc to run their body's vital processes, and they're not feeling well. So
it amazes me how well the body is at like shifting and shuffling things around. Like
it's incredible.
It's
It is
pretty amazing.
truly incredible.
And then that's why variety is so important, right? Getting a
Oh,
variety
yeah.
of things.
Variety is critical, and grossly underestimated. I mean, most people out there that people are listening to are saying, you got to stop eating this and stop eating that and don't eat this and don't eat that. It just totally falls apart in the real world. You know, I can't tell you how many people have come back to me and said, you know, I started eating oats again and I feel fine. And I've had people where I told them to eat oats and completely change from like what someone in the health and wellness info space told them to do, and got radically better results. Because people are different. They're unique. They have to be taken as an N of one. And when you don't do that, you're going to hurt people.
Well, and when you're not eating like chemically, just food built in a lab, you can get away with eating a lot of natural things if they're prepared well.
Yes.
Or a lot more robust than you think. But most people, because they've eaten nothing but cereal and all sorts of crap for so long, their digestive system is so wrecked that
I know it.
They basically are susceptible to anything. Whereas once you get them healthy, then they can handle a bunch of different things, right?
That's a fact.
So you got plenty of homework to do. You can go to Dr. Silman's Substack. I'll put a link to that in the description, and you can check all those out. And then, of course, get on our email list. Just go to stillmanwellness.com, put your email in on the pop-up.
Yep. And we're doing a free webinar every Thursday morning live. If you catch it live, it's free. If you don't, it's going to be behind the paywall in one of our courses.
That is correct. And we will send an email out Wednesday night with the link to that. And of course, with the other few things.
Yep.
And then, of course, we've got the special